Welcome, everyone, to our first Art of Homeownership live session of 2022. So, I hope you're having a great start to the year. I'm sure all of you have business plans that you've set in place for the year and have big things planned. So, whether that includes video content or not, maybe you're watching this to get inspiration to start with video content. We're going to be talking about content that's relevant to everyone across the spectrum. So we have Kyle Seagraves of Win the House You Love with us here today, who is a YouTube expert. We were just talking about really his online presence is exclusively on YouTube, and he's really optimized that and started to monetize that video content. So Kyle, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit, tell how long you've been in the industry and what your current focus is right now?
Sure. Yeah, thank you for having me. So I have been, oh man, I think it's been 3 or 4-ish years. It kind of blurs together with COVID time, it seems like. But yeah, I started out originating and ran into kind of the issue that I think a lot of people do, where it's you're kind of answering the same questions over and over again with clients, and they tend to have very similar problems. Along with the fact that I was new, had zero trust and credibility with both agents and my clients. And so what I started doing was trying to figure out how do I create more trust in the relationships that I have and the transactions that I'm working on. And so I found that video is an incredible way to create trust. And so what I started doing was I created personalized videos for my clients and agents, and then also started making kind of just like standard videos, like what is an appraisal, how does escrow work, those kinds of things to make a library for my clients. And then those video just like grew my business a ton. Both the YouTube videos were getting more traction, more views as time went on, but then also I was getting more clients. Like I would sit at the closing table, and my clients would like pitch to two realtors in the room and a title agency about how awesome video was, because I'd give them videos about their loan estimate, their closing disclosure, their quotes, and so they were just like wildly impressed with it.
Yeah.
And so I have been doing YouTube videos for about 2.5 years,
Okay.
and been doing it more like about the last year and a half more consistently. In the very beginning, I was kind of very sporadic, and just crossed 100,000 subscribers, I believe last week.
Wow.
So it's been really
Congrats.
cool to see some of those videos grow, and to see just to take away kind of the, I think, myths that come around creating video, especially in the real estate world. Like one of my top videos is about FHA loans, and it's 30 minutes long. The title is FHA loan requirements, and I remember somebody said to me like, "Who is going to watch a 30-minute video on FHA loans? It's too dense, it's too detailed. Nobody really cares." And that video has just under 1 million views, and so it's
That's
really interesting to
insane.
see that some of these myths I think that we have about content, especially mortgage content and creating videos, really are just things that live up in our head. And I think when we can use video as a tool to communicate better with buyers, uh, that really is going to set you apart from everybody else and help you see growth in your personal business or YouTube if you're looking to grow that as well.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. And that's something we're going to talk about a little bit is the optimal length of video, whether you're posting on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or YouTube. So just finding that sweet spot and how long your videos should be. But at this point, Kyle, one thing that I wanted to address was from the beginning to looking at your kind of growth now. How do you go about shooting the video content? I mean, are you doing multiple videos at one time monthly, or do you record one video a week? How does that cadence look like for you?
Yeah. Great question, and I haven't yet figured that out. It's changed a bunch, and I've grown very comfortable with it being a more organic thing. I don't think that we have to be like robots when we create content, and I have to
Yeah.
produce X amount per day or per week or whatever. There's going to be a flow to it. In the beginning, I was doing a video every single weekday, and that was kind of just I at that point I was like, I was all in on YouTube and was like, I know that I can grow this if I just show up and create more content. And so it was like I can shorten that timeline by just creating a video every single day. And for me, that was less about trying to trick YouTube into, like, YouTube isn't going to see you create a video every day and be like, oh, now we're going to rank them higher. What it does is it helps you learn to be a better communicator on video. And so it's the same thing if you're giving a talk in person. If you give one talk in person to a group of people, it's probably not going to be great. But
Mhm.
if you pack a month full of 10 or 20 talks, then you're probably going to get really good by the 20th one or the 30th one or the 50th one. And so that's what I learned with videos. Like on YouTube, I think I have around 280 videos. And so creating videos was less about trying to get YouTube to like me and more about how do I communicate better over video. And so it was a video a day. Right now, I'm doing somewhere around a video a week, which I'd like
Okay.
to kind of increase that a little bit. But that cadence, I think, changes a lot depending on where you're kind of at and how aggressive do you want to be about growth. Because there's also other things that you can do for your growth that are not just creating more and more and more videos. So for me, I'm kind of moving into like my business on YouTube is maturing a little bit. So there's a couple other aspects of the business that are taking up time than just creating videos, which unfortunately takes away time from making videos.
Yeah.
But I think for people starting out, like, don't put pressure on yourself. Do what you can. And so if that's a video a week, great. If that's 2 a week, fantastic. But don't put pressure on yourself for it to be this huge thing. Because when I was doing a video every weekday for about somewhere around 90-ish videos, they're not. It wasn't like I was spending hours and hours and hours on a video. It was, here's my topic, here's a couple bullet points, press record, go post
Yeah.
it. Because it's more about completing and publishing a video than it is about making a video that's going to be, or that you think would be fantastic or has this huge production value.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people too are hesitant to post once they record, or it will take them 40 minutes to record one video because they keep getting frustrated with the way that
Yeah.
it looks or sounds, and then they never end up posting it. So I think
Right.
that's one of the hurdles that people eventually have to get over. But taking a step back to say, if someone isn't getting started with video, so if they have their 2022 business plan mapped out and video content is not part of their marketing strategy, what is the biggest perk, I guess you could say, or benefit of getting started with video? Like, what are you going to see in your business from just taking that leap and getting started?
Sure. I think the biggest thing that you'll see is, well, and I'll kind of step back a little bit because I think if you are looking at putting in video into what you're wanting to move forward into, is maybe don't start on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. Start with personalized videos, because it is going to be the quickest way to see like dramatic impact in the relationships that you have with your clients. Really easy example is, so I used to do a personalized video for when I would send out loan estimates. And so you could use all kinds of different software: Vidyard, Soapbox, BombBomb, Loom, tons of free software you can make personalized videos and show your screen. And so I used to run into the problem that I think a lot of loan officers do is like you press send loan estimate, and it was like I could time it. Like within 20 minutes, a client would call me and they're doing all this like weird like math gymnastics to come up with the wrong number. And they're like, they're adding all these lines together and they're like, I didn't know it was going to be this much. And they're confused by this document they've never seen. And then you spend time on the phone with them, and what I started to realize is that phone call, even if at the end they understood, like, oh, okay, I understand now. This is the number we talked about. Trust already eroded. And
Yeah,
so if I can get before that, then I can save myself that erosion of trust that's going to create problems in the future for both getting referrals or even just closing the rest of the deal. So what I started doing was, instead of sending a loan estimate, waiting for a phone call, or calling them and it being a 30-minute to an hour long phone call, I would record a 5-minute video. And so all it would be is my screen, my face in a little circle,
hmm,
and it would say, "Hey, John, this is your loan estimate. You're going to get this in a couple minutes. I want to review this line by line before it got sent to you so you could feel comfortable with these numbers." And I would just walk through the loan estimate line by line. And after a while, you kind of have like this script that you run through where it's like, all right, so
yeah,
section A, these are the charges that we have. Here's what points are. And you kind of walk through. But literally recording a video like that takes like 5 minutes to record it, maybe 10 minutes total for me to press record it, send it over to the person. And then I save myself that 30-minute phone call. Trust wasn't eroded. And in a weird way, videos like that create more trust uh, than even if it was like a phone call. I think because people can
Hmm.
see you, they can see your screen, they see you talking about the numbers right next to it instead of them trying to be like, okay, page two, where was that on page two? Um, and so I just started recognizing like that immense amount of trust that people gave created more referrals. But then also the way real estate agents would pitch me to their clients is like, oh, he makes it really easy. He'll send you a video detailing everything so you don't have to worry about it. And
Yeah.
so like realtors were pitching me on my behalf just because I was making videos. And that's such an easier conversion than somebody who, realtors like, here's three people, give them a call.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many videos, like throughout the complete transaction, how many videos would you send to a client on average?
It depended. I wasn't always super consistent with it, but at minimum two. And so I would
Okay.
do one video with pre-approval in quotes. Usually because at that stage I was also using either MBS Highway or Mortgage Coach. And so I want to walk them through some examples. What I found with doing video at that stage is once I started doing video, nobody ever shopped me. Like I can think of one guy who shopped after I sent video. Where before it was always
Wow.
like, oh, we're gonna take a look at other places because everyone
Hmm.
else is like sending an email. Hey, our rate's 3%. Here's the closing cost, whatever. I was the only person who was sent them a 10-minute video walking them through here's all your loan options. Here's what the pre-approval means. Here's your next step. And they're like, oh, of course we're going to go with this person because it makes the most sense. We trust this person the most. So
Hmm.
at least at the pre-approval and quote stage, and then the loan estimate, because I found that those two tend to have the most friction with them. At the pre-approval stage, I don't want to be shopped, and so that helps a lot. And at the loan estimate stage, that helps ease the friction of there's so much stuff going on. I'm about to get a like a document package with 80 plus documents in it to sign, and they're concerned about their numbers. Um, so I do those as a minimum. Every once in a while, I would send over one for if there was additional documents that we needed. I would have the email pulled up, but then I'd also walk them through it as well because
Okay.
sometimes people get overwhelmed by some documents that they need, and even though it makes sense to us, like, oh yeah, grabbing I'm trying to think of an example, a basic example, like grabbing an extra pay stub doesn't seem like that big of a deal to us. But if we can just make a video and it's like, hey, we just need one more pay stub, you can go to your HR and ask for that additional copy. Here's why we need page three of the bank statement. Makes it really easy. So for that conditions, occasionally I would do something for the closing disclosure, but found that that didn't really create that much impact
Okay.
for them. The trade off in time to make that video.
Awesome. Okay. And I think that overcomes a big hurdle that a lot of people do have, which is just getting in front of the camera. So as you get more comfortable just sending these one-off videos to your clients, you're going to build that
Yeah,
confidence. And then eventually it's going to be a no-brainer to start posting on social media and making the longer form content.
yeah.
But what do you see otherwise as the big obstacles that people have to get over in order to get started? Whether it's the technical obstacles or more of the mental things that are kind of stopping them from getting started?
Yeah, I think video is hard because you're trying to get good at a couple different things. Like not only the technical side, but then also how, how do you communicate over video, the mental aspect. I think one of the biggest ones is probably just the fear of being on video. Of oh, people are going to see me and they're going to judge me, and yeah, but they're doing that anyway,
Yeah.
whether you're on video or it's in person.
I hate
Like
to break it to you. Yeah.
yeah, and so there's a point where we're just kind of grow comfortable with like uh, if your only goal is to help your client and be the most helpful loan officer, the most helpful realtor you can be, then who cares? The most helpful
Yeah.
loan officer, the most helpful realtor is going to do what's going to be the most helpful for their client. They don't, if they're helping their client, they don't care about who thinks whatever about them. And so doing personalized video is great because you get to practice kind of in private. Like you're only sending that video to one person or a couple or only a couple people see it, and so if you mess up,
Mhm.
like, who cares if you had a bad hair day? Like it doesn't matter. No one no one actually really cares that much. And then the other one is the technical side as well. I think people feel like they either don't look into it or they look into it too much and they're like, I have to get all this equipment. And so for me, like video equipment was something that grew along with me as the channel grew and as I did more video. Because I started out with my webcam. It was just The webcam on my computer, that's what I use to record personalized videos. When I was making YouTube videos, it was just my iPhone. Like my first video is me walking through my neighborhood holding up my iPhone. Like it's
Yeah.
not there's no editing, there's nothing else to it. And then as I grew with video, I started to invest a little bit more and spend more time learning. But one of the hard parts about video, I think, is that it's kind of like singing in a weird way. There's this kind of thought where people are like, I'm not a good singer, and so they don't sing. But they don't, or they might try to sing and they're like, oh, I sound terrible, so I'm a bad singer. But like any other thing, it's something that requires practice. Um, like no, most people can't just like start singing and they're incredible. They had to practice over and over and over again to become better, and then show that off to other people. And I think with video, sometimes we feel like the first video we have to make, or the first video we make, is going to look great. It's going to be great content, and we're going to be super confident. It's going to sound fantastic. There's going to be great graphics, but nothing ever works that way. Like if you
Right.
think the first loan that you've done, the first transaction that you've done was not perfect. It was not, it probably wasn't good. Because I know mine was a train
Yeah.
wreck, the first one I did. But each one got a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. As I started getting to loan 10, I was like, oh, I can make a checklist. Loan 20, I can make email templates. Like you get more refined as you go along. The same thing is going to happen with video, is you just have to be comfortable with, hey, the first one isn't going to be good, and that's part of it. The first
Hmm.
one should not be good. If the first one is good, I spent way too much time trying to do the research and the prep for it all.
Yeah. I think too the hurdle there is more so I'm scared to get started because it might not be good, but then everyone's going to see it because I'm
Mhm.
posting. So what you said before is also still relevant. Start with those personalized videos so that it's only one person. It's not a lot of pressure. You're just walking them through, and as long as it's valuable and helpful and makes them feel comfortable, then you're accomplishing what you should be accomplishing with video.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I believe BombBomb did a study. I can't remember the exact numbers, but they saw higher conversions on webcam videos than on higher quality videos.
Wow, really?
So because there was this level of authenticity that comes through on a little bit lower quality, in a
Yeah.
very kind of counterintuitive way sometimes.
Yeah, there's a few loan officers that I see just recording very casual video content with their iPhone, and it does. You have a great point. It feels very personal. It feels like you're almost having a one-way conversation with them. You're just listening to
Mhm.
them talk, and it's very easy to listen to. So it's
Yeah,
relatable because that's what you want to be.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, what would you say is your best way, or let's say when you first got started? I think a lot of people struggle to find, okay, what am I going to even post videos about? Say I shoot one video and it's good, but okay, what do I talk about in my next video?
Mhm.
Where do you get the inspiration and the content to actually record these videos about?
Sure. So first, I think everybody, if you're gonna make video, everyone needs to have an ideas list. So it can literally just be a note on your phone. But the worst thing to do is to sit down and be like, okay, what video should I record today? Like
Hmm.
you need to have a list of things you can pull from. And so I used to have a list of notes on my phone, and I use a software called Notion now, which is just like a note taking app.
Okay.
But because like when you're in the grocery, you're probably going to have ideas pop up. When a client texts you a question, that's going to be an idea for a video. So just start creating a note, and you're going to find that your ideas are going to pop in your head. Clients are going to ask you questions. Those are perfect video topics that you can make, right? The reason I made a video about appraisals is because I got really tired of like answering what's an appraisal, because just like, is this really a good way to spend my time as 20 minutes on the phone talking about what an appraisal is? Like
Right.
when clients ask you questions, you can turn those into videos. And so what I would do with clients is you don't do it in like a passive aggressive way, but then if they have a question, you can turn it into something that's more strategic. So, uh, hey, I had a question. Could you walk me through what an appraisal is? I would send them a link to that video and be like, yeah, actually, go ahead and give this a watch. I cover all the stuff about the appraisals. And then let me know when you're finished. And if you have questions, we can talk through how to strategize that a little bit. That's a way more
Right.
interesting phone call than, yeah, an appraisal works like this.
Hmm.
So I would do that. Get ideas from your clients. Get ideas as you work through loans. You're going to run into scenarios and situations that probably a lot of other people, a lot of other home buyers are going to experience, or maybe pitfalls that you want them to avoid. Those can be turned into videos. And then if you would be able to show that screen uh, really
Yes.
quickly, this is a method that I learned called the alphabet soup method. And so this is how it works. If you have the beginning of a question, Google's going to fill in the blank for you. So,
Yeah.
for instance, let me zoom in here a little bit. Let's go. Let's do this. Home appraisal. Um, so we did home appraisal. Google has in its search predictions. And what's really cool about this is Google's telling us what are popular searches around the idea of home appraisal. And when we're making videos, especially in the beginning, we don't want to we don't want to just make a video called "What's a home appraisal?" because there's probably going to be a lot of competition, right? It's a
Hmm.
very what are called short keywords, and so there's probably going to be a lot of people who are making videos on that. It's going to be hard to get your video near the top if you are making it for YouTube. And so we want to target longer tail keywords, which are going to be more specific and have less competition with them. And so right here, I can see some suggestions that aren't super interesting, maybe home appraisal timeline, home appraisal process. But where the alphabet soup method comes in is you can just start down the alphabet. So I can do home appraisal space A, B, C, and get all of these ideas
Yeah.
around home appraisal. And so if I do home appraisal key points, okay, that could be an interesting one. Um, Home appraisal less than offer. Just by using this method is like we can pull apart probably 50 ideas about a home appraisal. You don't have to make 50 videos about home appraisals. It's probably a little too much, but at least this gives you ideas of like what are different angles that I could take in this that could be interesting. And I can do the same thing at the beginning. Just create a space and same thing, A, B, C,
Hmm.
these are actually some really interesting ones. Easy ways to increase home appraisal value. This cleanliness effect, a home appraisal. You can even put in stuff like what, and Google will fill in the blank. What hurts a home appraisal? What do they look for in a home appraisal? We could try who pays for home appraisal. So just by using this tool, tons of options. Um,
That's awesome.
let's do one for like what do they look for in a home appraisal? Google also gives us people also ask. And so you can
Hmm.
use this in a couple different ways. I've seen some people who they'll make the title of their video something along this line. I wouldn't copy it exactly, maybe spruce it up a little bit. Um, but then you can add these questions into your video. So what do they look for in a home appraisal? Maybe in that video too, I also cover what will fail home appraisal. Does a messy house affect an appraisal? What's checked during home appraisal? Like these get to be some of your video topics in here. Um, and then what I like to do is I couple this method, the alphabet soup, which I think is kind of a funny name, uh, plus one that I learned from a guy named Brian Dean called the Skyscraper Method. And the Skyscraper Method uh, used to be mainly for blogs, but you can use it for video too. And so what you do here is actually, let me do this on YouTube because it will be a little more clear.
And how do you get your, I mean, this is YouTube specific now, but how do you get the titles for your YouTube videos? Do you make them up on your own or do you do some research to see some of the ones that are ranking highest?
Yeah, I do a mixture of both. And then
Okay.
I also use, let me see if I can find it. The co-schedule, that's not spelled right. Headline Analyzer. And this
Okay.
usually helps me create some helpful headlines that have kind of a right mix of words in there. And I've just recently started using it and found it to be pretty helpful.
Cool.
Um, So kind of the way the skyscraper method is, and don't worry about the names don't really matter. I just don't want to like act like it's mine because I it's somebody else's idea. Um, what you can do here is so what do they look for in a home appraisal? Like here's a video that I made a year ago. I probably need to make an updated one on this. But what I would do is go and look at the top 3 to 5 videos. So I'm going to put these in separate tabs. I'm just going to pause these really quickly so they don't play. Um, oh no, we got an ad. Okay, we're gonna endure this for however much longer. Okay, cool. So what I do here is I first, when I'm wanting to make this video, what do they look for in a home appraisal? I'm going to look through and see, okay, what are the titles? What do real estate appraisers look for during appraisal? I want to look at the type of video. So this is just kind of a talking head. It's a guy talking.
Mhm.
He has a couple graphics. Let's see through here. Nothing really. I'm not sure what this is. Um, okay, so talking head. I would then go and look down through the comments. What are people really liking about the video, and what do they not like? What are they saying that's missing? And I'm going to start taking notes. So you can actually listen through this, and we're not copying videos, but we're grabbing insight of what is already out there. What is YouTube saying, like, hey, this is really good content? The theory then is if you can make a video that is more helpful than the top three videos, it includes um, more information, it includes better graphics, it helps people understand things more. If I can make a video better than the top three, the likelihood of being at the top of those is a lot higher um,
Yeah.
in in YouTube's eyes. So I would look through here. You basically get to crowdsource your video. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Is look at the title. She doesn't really put any graphics on screen. Um, I'm trying to see here. Okay, she puts a couple things on screen, which you don't have to necessarily copy or be better than. But what might be interesting here is so far I'm not seeing anybody who has like numbers. They're not including numbers in their
Yeah.
videos, and that's a pretty important part of the home appraisal process. And so even if it was just these are a couple images, even if it was just a recording of my screen and I'm on Excel and I'm showing here's what $400,000 looks like if it came in short, this like here's where the numbers would go. Even that would elevate this video above the top three.
Mhm.
Same thing. Look through here. Uh, here's a question about refinancing. So maybe that's a quick bullet point I want to cover in my video. How can I make my video about appraisals just a little bit better, include more info, be more helpful than the top three? And then the chances of that video ranking above those top three is a lot higher than if we just kind of made it without any information beforehand.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I've never heard of this. And I mean, I deal with the video content and content creators a lot, and a lot of what you hear is create a swipe file, kind of steal from people's content, but it's not really tactical ways to do that. So this is gold. This is really helpful information.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is when I learned this, I was like, oh, this is brilliant. And I learned it from I used to write blog articles and for a company not related in the real estate world. And this is how I learned it was it's all about blogs. It was look through what's in the blog, go create a blog
Hmm.
that's more helpful, that's longer, that's more engaging, has better content. And I was like, wait, I can do that on YouTube too.
Yeah, yeah.
It works the same.
That's it. That's awesome. Do you want me to remove this from the stream?
Yeah, that's good. I don't think I have
Okay.
anything else
All
on the
right, great.
screen.
So I know you had mentioned this a little bit earlier, but is there an optimal length of video for any specific platform, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Instagram? What would you say are recommended lengths for each platform that we're talking about?
Yeah. I don't know that there's one specific recommended length. I think it's more of a mindset. And what I have learned from other people and what I've learned myself is the best length is start the video, only put in helpful information, and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
So if that requires that the video is 3 minutes, cool. Don't stretch it. I see so many people who are like, well, a video that could be 3 minutes and they like stretch it out to 10 or whatever. Don't do it
Mm-hmm.
because they think that like they need an optimal time or whatever. Just do what's required to be helpful. Um, Actually, if you do want to screen share quickly, I can show you my top, I believe 5 videos average 30 minutes in length. So if I
Wow.
look at the most popular, this first video, 950,000 views, 34 minutes long. Second video, 13 minutes, 26 minutes, 49 minutes, 34 minutes, 11 minutes. And so what I found, it actually seems like I think that's part of who my audience is they really like longer, in-depth, step-by-step guide type of videos.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've pushed into those a little bit more. But don't be afraid for a video like this one. This is almost an hour long. I mean, it walks through the whole home buying process.
Yeah.
But like people will want to watch this. Like it has 250,000 views. Like people are not afraid of long form content, especially on YouTube. Of course, that
Mhm.
doesn't always translate to stuff like Instagram and TikTok and whatever. Although I think those only have like limits of 10 minutes or somewhere around there. At least Instagram does. But on YouTube, people like long form content. They also like short form. And you're just going to have to figure out what works, but don't try to force the content into any bucket. Just make
Right.
it, 33 minutes is exactly what I needed to cover all the details that I needed about FHA
Mhm.
loans. None of this was filler or stretched out on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great tip. Because you hear people talk about, sorry, I'll remove this again. You hear people talk about that a lot, trying to drag it out. But at that point, if someone is watching and you're just putting filler content in there to get an optimal length, then you're going to start to lose people and you're going to kind of lose credibility as well if
Right.
you're just putting out fluff content.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think what's helpful too is like if you're making a video, just create bullet points and don't be afraid to like look down at your notes. I do that still in my videos. I have notes and I look down at them.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares. Really, nobody
Yeah.
cares. Um, and what I found is really helpful with that is it helps keep you on topic. Do the bullet points beforehand, then you can run through and you make sure you covered everything you needed to without going off too much. Because I know that if I just
Yeah.
try to go off the top of my head, I'll end up going in who knows what direction, and it's not very helpful as a video. But you can go through, do that skyscraper method, pull bullet points that you need, and then make a video just on that. And it's going to be as concise as it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have an opinion about scripting? I think a lot of the time when people are getting started with video, their first instinct is to create an entire script and
Mhm.
read off of that. What do you think about starting out with that? It's kind of like training wheels, I would say.
I don't think scripts are good because it's just so unnatural
Yeah.
for most people. Like you have to be really good at writing a script, and that needs to come after you've already made like a ton of videos. So I would say don't do that. Bullet points are all that
Hmm.
you need. Like, because the bullet point can just say that one sentence, and it's going to spark, you know, 4 or 5 sentences for you. And so in the beginning, like I had a notepad that had the title, bullet points. I looked down at the bullet point, talk about it. Look down the next one, talk about it. And that's kind of what I do with my videos now. I've started to script just the beginning hook of my videos, but they're scripted kind of very loosely with bullet points. It's not
Okay.
necessarily all word for word typed out, and then I feel bad if I get it wrong. It's just here are the bullet points. That way, my intro is as clear and covers what I want it to, and then I run into my bullet points that are on my notes.
Okay. I think a lot of people watching, their first instinct might be, oh my gosh, for me to talk on camera about one bullet point is very intimidating and it's scary. But what you have to remember is you're the expert. Whatever you're recording a video about, this is something that you've been doing for a long time. You're the expert. The consumer is not. You just have to educate them. So if you're confident as a mortgage professional, it should be a no-brainer for you to sit in front of a camera, pretend the camera's not even there, like you're just having a
Yeah.
conversation with a client and giving them advice. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost like you're on a phone call with somebody and they're like, "Hey, can you explain this to me?" Like,
Yeah,
sure."
yeah, yeah, exactly. So we are going to wrap up here in a minute, but one very important thing that I wanted to touch on, and Kyle, I would love your input on this, is the expectation for how long it takes to start to get traction with video content. So I think the mindset is for some people when they get started is I'm going to post this video and I'm going to get 3 deals out of it. And I've never posted a video before, which is very unlikely. So for yourself, how long did it take to start to see traction before you got results from the video content that you were posting?
Mhm. I think it depends what type of results you're looking for. If it's local results, like you're making video on Facebook and Instagram or those personalized videos, those are really easy to see results super quickly. I remember
Hmm.
when I would take videos, I posted them on YouTube, but I also posted them on Facebook, and you know, almost instantly I was getting direct messages from friends and family who were like, "Oh yeah, I'm looking to refinance or buy or whatever."
Yeah.
You just kind of get put top of mind, I think, in those types of platforms. On YouTube, though, it's going to take a little bit of time.
Mhm.
Um, I would honestly expect that you probably need to make 30-ish videos before you start seeing somebody reach out to you to have some sort of conversation, if that turns into a deal or not. Um, which, if you're doing a video, every weekday, like that's not a lot of time. Like it's not going to take that long if you're serious about
Mhm.
jumping into video. Um, I believe I got my first client when I had around 100 subscribers, so it
Okay.
was relatively quickly in terms of like YouTube subscribers. But at that point, I was still making a ton of videos. It just takes a long time for YouTube to want to trust you and push your videos out there because uh, YouTube has thousands of hours of content uploaded every single minute. So, um, and they already have videos that work, right? When we search for like uh, videos about conventional loans or appraisals or whatever, like this stuff YouTube already knows that these videos will work, and so it takes a long time for YouTube to say like, "Oh yeah, we trust you with our audience to rank you above those videos." So it
Yeah.
really is you have to show up to YouTube consistently over a long period of time for YouTube to say, "Okay, you've stuck through this. We know we can trust you with our audience, and so we'll show you to more viewers."
Right. So the mindset is long term. You have to be consistent because Kyle is still here. He has so many subscribers. It gets tens of hundreds of thousands of views on his videos, but he's still putting out that content because it's generating results. So you just have to get to that point where you're consistent. Keep recording the video content. It will pay off for your business in the long run.
Yeah.
But Kyle, this was so helpful, very tactical information. Is there any kind of last sending advice that you would give to anyone who wants to get started with video content?
Yeah, download Loom and just record a video for a couple clients. It's
Yep.
free. I like it because it's really easy to use, but you can use BombBomb or whatever software. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just get started making videos. The personalized videos are the easiest way. And honestly, your business might grow enough with personalized videos that you're like, I don't even need to jump into something like YouTube.
Hmm.
That is a very real possibility.
Yeah.
So really just get started doing that and you're going to see some fantastic results probably by the end of today, if not tomorrow.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Make it a great 2022 and take action with recording video today. You will not regret it.
Thank you.
Thanks.